I've lived it in the mud, the chaos, and the moments nobody writes about. This show is the truth, raw, unfiltered, and built for leaders who actually give a damn. If you're ready to grow, ready to own your own story, and ready to lead from the front, you're in the right place. Speak up, show up, lead. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. My name is JJ Hardy, the host of the show, and welcome to another episode of Speak Up, Show Up, Lead. I'm here with my guest, Kade, and we're going to talk about self-leadership today. He's a fitness trainer, and when I met him, I knew he'd be a great guest for the show. So, Kade, you want to go on here and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. First and foremost, I appreciate you having me on, JJ. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to your audience, and that was a really cool intro. So,
thank you.
This is my first live podcast, so I'm excited about this. This is cool. And we connected before we started streaming here, last week, and I felt like we were super aligned in our values and what we want to bring to the audience. So I'm excited to speak with your people and my people and just provide as much value on here as we possibly can. So just a little bit about my background. Like JJ said, I'm a fitness coach online. I started working in gyms for like 6 years, and then around COVID time transitioned online, and I'm able to package the tools people need to reach their fitness goals and lead themselves first, so they can lead everyone else that they lead in a virtual setting. So that's what I do. Got into this at a very early age. I just turned 32 yesterday, and I have been doing this since I was about 20 years old. So I've been doing this for about 12 years with fitness coaching, and just very passionate about what I do. I was a 5'11", 120-pound kid in high school. Took control of putting on muscle and my own physique. Just found a lot of confidence from doing that, and then started training other people to do the same, take control of their health and fitness and their bodies while I was studying it in school at Texas A&M. Whoop, if there's any Aggies watching. And I've been passionate and doing it ever since. So appreciate the opportunity to speak to your audience today.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. And I like the way you described what you do. It's, how we show up determines how people feel about us, and how people remember us, and how people want to interact with us. And so, fitness is one of those things where, you do one thing like you do everything. So, if you're showing up for yourself, not just physically, that fitness part of it actually increases your mental agility. It increases your physical agility. And by the way, it increases your confidence, because when you look good, you feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lord knows I need all the mental help that I can get. Right.
Well, that's a topic for another time, buddy. But I agree. I'm in the same boat.
Yeah. So it's like, hey, let's help ourselves. Right. So no, but I completely agree. And I hear it from my clients all the time, where they take control of this area and feeling good with their health and their fitness and taking control here. And they feel like they've got more control for everything else that they do. So I'm just super passionate about that. We have a few people that are trying to step on stage and be bodybuilders, but most of the people we work with are, I'm sure a lot of your audience listening, like regular, professionals who have normal jobs, right, and families, and they want to just effectively lead the people they serve and love. And I find that, and I feel like you agree after our chat last time, like you can't effectively do that optimally if you're not leading yourself first and taking care of you and pouring into your cup. Because if you don't do that, then you've got nothing else to pour out to everyone else. So
it's not only how we show up, right? Other people, sure, I mentioned all that stuff right off the jump, but I really feel like physical fitness, mental fitness, all of those things are really important, because my goodness, one thing that a lot of people have a hard time with in their life is leading themselves. They get so caught up in a lack of discipline, and it's not just the way they look. It's also, the way they make decisions and the way that they interact with themselves, and how they and how they think about stuff and plan things and all kinds of, I mean, I really do believe that you do one thing like you do everything. And so showing up and leading yourself through life, that's more than just, doing a good job at work. It's
Right.
when you're showing up for yourself, it means something completely different. What does that mean to you?
It's a good question. Yeah. And it's something I hear probably the most common when I first get on calls with people and they're interested in taking control of this area of their life is they feel like they don't have confidence, right? Maybe even people that are being very successful in other areas of life, right? But it's like they don't have control over one area and they're not keeping the promises to themselves. And so that's lowering their confidence. And that's really where I find, the benefit in leading yourself first is like you got to build that self-trust. It's not about like having six-pack abs or, any outcomes really. It's just, when you keep those promises to yourself and you build that self-trust, then you're trustworthy for other people. And that's how I feel like then you can show up, like you said, with that confidence and clarity because you're like, hey, like I'm doing the things that I told myself I was going to do. And so I feel confident to lead others because I know that I'm leading myself.
I love that. As a matter of fact, I just had a whole call about that, a live stream where we were talking about, how this facade disappears once the pressure comes on. Yeah. And we talked a lot about the promises that we keep to ourselves and how that affects how we show up. And part of that is authenticity, and making sure that, we're realistic with who we are, but also knowing who we are and then being comfortable with that. It's all part of what you just said about keeping promises with yourself.
Yeah.
And that's one thing a lot of people don't do. They will say, I really want to go and do this thing. And then they'll start it. They'll be really happy about it. They'll get pumped up. They'll get super excited. And then what happens with that when that excitement wears off?
Yep.
They quit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's your take on that? How do you help people with that specific thing? Because I know that even with my coaching program, I do executive coaching as part of my business. I would like to hear it from the fitness standpoint, how you help people kind of get over that hurdle.
It's a great question. And it's funny you asked that because this morning, so every morning I put a message into our client WhatsApp group with our clients, all our fitness junkies, we call them. And what I said was, it doesn't matter how much you want the goal, right? It doesn't matter. Like you said, excitement, like the people that reach their goals aren't the ones that are most excited about it in the beginning or the ones that want that goal the most. The people that end up hitting the goals and being the most successful clients are the ones that have the most resilience, right? They're adaptable no matter what's going on in life. And they're able to do the boring work in the small moments, right? It's not like these grandiose times where it's like, oh, like I'm making these quantum leaps in my fitness. It's like the day in, day out, monotonous, tedious task of doing it, right? Like when you don't feel like it, right? And if you're able to build that skill, I think that's a skill that you can develop through something like a fitness program, right? If you're able to develop the skill of doing things even when you don't feel like it, I would say especially when you don't feel like it, that's, like you said, how you do anything is how you do everything. That's a skill that carries over into everything else, right? Yes. When you don't feel like, I know that me and you are both faith-based. Like when you don't feel like reading the Bible, you still do it, right? You still have that time with God, right? When you don't feel like showing up on that call, that maybe an uncomfortable conversation with a coworker or an employee, whatever it is, right? Like you do it anyway, and you do what's necessary. And I find that like if you can do that in your fitness journey, again, it carries over into everything else you do.
So. Well, we have a question. Gentleman Bob here. He said, Kade, what inspired you to focus on self-leadership instead of just fitness coaching?
I love that question. Yeah. So I probably about, what was it, like 6 to 8 months ago, somewhere in there, really changed my direction. Because I was just, the classic fitness coach that just was like, hey, if you want abs, come reach out to me and everything. But the more I worked with people in leadership and in leadership positions, and saw that, hey, when they're able to really take control of their health and win their health, like they're able to win everywhere else. And I saw that impact, like, it's scaling, right? Because like they're serving and leading so many people. And so if I can help them be the best version of themselves and like serve and lead to the highest level that they possibly can, I feel like my impact is scaling. So that's why I'm so passionate about that. So I changed kind of my tagline and our mission of, we help leaders win their health so that they can win everywhere else. And to kind of crystallize that, I wrote my book and I dedicated it to a client of mine who passed away at the very end of 2024. His name was Jeff Malone, and he was very influential on me. And he was a great guy. He's a mentor to me, a friend, definitely the most influential client I've ever had. And he owned a business. It was a marketing agency, and he had about 100 employees. And I saw him, from where he started to where he ended, working with me. He just completely transformed physically, mentally. And I saw that like he was able to win this area, and that bled out into everything else he was doing. And someone so influential and such a strong leader being able to do that and just take things to the next level, I was like, man, that was really fulfilling to see. And so that's what really made me super passionate about that.
That prompts me to want to ask the audience a question here. We got a lot of people showing up, so I really appreciate everybody for coming in here. What's one area of your life where you're suffering as from a discipline standpoint, and what question might you want to ask Kade to help you get through that? Because I think that this insight, with this many people in the room, would definitely be something worth talking about. But
yeah, I'd love that.
But first of all, I'm sorry to hear about your friend. I'm glad you mentioned your book. I started reading it, and I just got it the other day. Oh, did you? Well, good. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it yet. Mine just showed up a couple days ago, so I haven't had a chance really to much look at your book, but I have read through a bit of it. And I tell you what, I'm already inspired by what you have to say, and I haven't even gotten to the parts where that talk about how to kind of integrate all of this stuff into your life yet. But I saw that that's coming, so I'm glad that that's coming, because I Lord knows that throughout the years, especially about a year and a half ago, I was up to 285 pounds, and now I'm down to 243. It just goes to show that if you give up in one way, my give up point was I retired from the military, and I said to myself, I'm not getting up early in the morning and doing that crap anymore. I did that for so long. Yeah. I'm just not going to do it anymore. And then one day I looked at myself in the mirror, and I didn't even recognize the person that was there. I'm like, well, that person couldn't have ever been a soldier. And so I started working on it again. But, for somebody who lived like that, because we have a lot of athletes that end up big and rotund, they end up being alcoholics, they end up giving up on themselves. What's a piece of advice when somebody has been away from something like that, who has had that super fit lifestyle, who has had that level of discipline, who lost it? What would you tell that person?
It's another, man, you're dropping bangers of questions here right off the bat.
Well, I lived it, man. I had to find it. So I know how I would answer it, but this show isn't about me. It's about you. So I want to hear what you have to say.
Right. Well, yeah, I would say I've lived it too, to be completely honest and transparent with you. It's like a lot of the things that my clients deal with, I've dealt with as well. It's not like my fitness journey has just always been smooth sailing. And I tell this to my clients all the time. There was a time where I lost my passion for fitness, and my own fitness, lost my passion for my vision of wanting to do this. And I kind of changed career paths, and I kind of lost my way, and I was in a dark spot, and didn't really know what I wanted to do. But I realize, now that if you're not growing, you're dying. And it's like, I think it's really important to keep striving, even if your goals are different. Maybe if it's, at one point, like you said, you were in the military, and it's like you were just super regimented, and it's like you wanted to be in peak physical shape for that. Like you're in a different season, right? So it's like, I like to tell a lot of my clients that have backgrounds in either the military or athletics, like you said, I work with people that used to play college football, things of that nature. And they've got that athlete mindset or that military discipline mindset. We were talking about that when we connected last week. It's like it's in there. And it's just, how do we channel that to this season of life and being the athlete of your own life of where you're at now? And I steal that phrase from, there's a book called The Corporate Athlete. And it's a great book. Recommend anyone to read that one as well. But basically the principles of that book is, how can we be the athlete of our life, treat our life like it's our sport. And if there's any entrepreneurs or like C-suite executives listening to this, and you should treat your life like it's a sport, right? We're showing up every day and we've got to be able to perform. And if you came from a military background or athlete background, I think you can resonate with that, where it's like, hey, you want to fuel your body right, recover right, train your body to be able to handle whatever life is going to throw at you. And so that's the way I think about it now. The working out and the eating a certain way. Sure, I've got physical goals, and those are kind of just things to stretch and grow me and push me. But really, it's more so the mental benefits than anything. And it's being able to, like you said, show up and perform at my best. And honestly, sometimes it's just like, it's a way to improve my mood and just like, get through the day. So it's like, some days are different than others. And I think it's more beneficial mentally than physical a lot of times. So that's kind of where I come from, is like, hey, this is a way to be prepared for whatever life's thrown at you. And that's kind of where I find my passion, and what I've seen other people fall in love with it as well. It's like paying attention to the way you feel when you're doing these things, rather than any sort of outcome driven goals.
People that have a very high level of fitness lifestyle, and, not just military, not just athletes, but also, people that are in the first responder realm, even if they're not super fit, they think this way. I call it the warrior mentality, because, you live life on a mission. And, when, in order to meet that mission, you have to be super fit. So I love the way you describe that. And I think that the warrior mentality really kind of sums that up, because, when you have to meet all of these other things, let's say you have a goal in mind, if you can't even get up and get off the couch to go accomplish that goal, well, fitness is important. So, but I don't want to skip out on the audience here. So let me see.
Got some questions.
We had a couple questions here. Real estate with Kate. I think this is about your why, actually. So how has Cade's athletic background influenced his leadership philosophy?
I love that. I love that question. Thank you for that question, Kate. So I was a captain of my high school football team. Even though, coming into sophomore year, I was 5'11", 120 pounds, one of the smallest, skinniest kids on the team. But through pure grit and determination, and just my work ethic, I think that's the only reason I was chosen to be one of the captains. I just worked harder than everyone. But even when I was the team captain of my high school football team, I was one of the quietest. I didn't say a single word probably the whole season of my senior year. And, it's kind of funny you asked that question, Kate, because I think that's something that I almost have a chip on my shoulder about, and it's like, hey, I was able to work hard and lead by example, and that was super powerful. But it's also, how do we use that, to really showcase what we're able to do and perform and help and serve and steward our body to lead others, right? Yeah. I think I was just so focused on just the physical aspect, but it's like, how do we use that, and how do we steward our body and our fitness and being mentally and physically fit to be able to lead everyone else. And so that's kind of what, that background has shaped me a little bit. And I also competed in bodybuilding last year. I won my first show I ever did, natural bodybuilding. And I went to a championship show, and there was a lot of competition there. Did not win that one. But I thought that experience in, if you've never done bodybuilding, it's strenuous, right? And you're depleted. I got down to 6% body fat, was eating about 1,000 calories towards the end, and just dying. I thought, my business was going to tank, but I was leading myself so strongly, right? And keeping all the promises to myself. And I found that shine through in my business and being able to help everyone, because I was holding myself to such a high standard that I was able to hold others to a really high standard and come across with that confidence of like, hey, I'm doing this for myself. You can do this too.
Yeah.
And so it's a long-winded answer, but that's what I would say.
We have a couple more.
Sure.
I'm sure more will pop up here. So we can both give our take on this one, but I'm going to let you go first. So
Okay.
Roy said, what's the biggest mistake people make when trying to become better leaders?
That's a really good question. What I see is when people think of leadership, they're focused on titles or authority, and they think, oh, like I'm a manager, I'm a leader, I'm a CEO. That means like I've got all this authority, and I can tell people what to do, and it's like, oh, you got to listen to me because I'm a leader. But I think you don't even really need to be in a leadership role to be a leader. I think it comes from a place of servant leadership in wanting to help, and coming from like what's the value I'm providing, rather than, oh, I'm trying to be a leader because I want to be a source of authority, right? So that's something I've really kind of marinated and thought about a lot in the last year, as I've kind of transitioned to like, that is who I want to focus on helping, it is leaders. And it's something I think about for myself quite a bit, and the team that I have is, hey, like, sure, I'm the owner of my business, but like I'm trying to show up and just serve. That's really the main thing. So it's like people think leadership and kind of the frontline people are separate. It's like, no, like everyone's serving in their position. So you should be striving as a leader to still be focused on what's the best service I can provide.
When you talk about titles, being the definition for leadership for a lot of people, the one thing people don't understand is that I have met people in some very high positions. I've even met CEOs, I've met directors, I've met VPs who couldn't lead themselves out of a wet paper sack, to be quite honest with you.
Yep.
But, you mentioned servant leadership, and that is literally putting the welfare of other people before your own and trying to help other people be a better person. And, the question was what's the biggest mistake people make when trying to become better leaders? They forget that they're just a part of the team.
Yes.
When you are a part of the team, then that means your role just changes. That doesn't mean you're any more important than anybody else. That just means that you're doing more facilitating and helping rather than the grunt work. So
right.
just keep that in mind every day when you're trying to become a better leader.
Yeah. And before we move on to another question, wanted to kind of dig a little bit deeper into that one too, because in the same breath, it almost sounds like we're contradicting ourselves. But like I said earlier, like you can't pour from an empty cup. So, I hear this because moms are leaders too, right? They're leading their kids, they're leading their family, right? So someone in, a father or a mother for their family, they're leaders, right? But I hear this all the time when I get on initial calls with fathers or moms, and they're like, well, I can't put myself first because I've got everyone else that I've got to worry about first. But again, I'm going to go back to it, and I hold this very firm, right? Because I see it all the time. Moms and dads, like, you need to still pour into you, or else you will end up pouring from an empty cup, and you're not the best version of yourself for your kids. And it's the same thing in leadership, roles with your career as well. So.
Yeah. It's that concept of when you're on an airplane, right? Before you help the person next to you, you're supposed to put your mask on. You cannot be effective with other people if you can't lead yourself first. Yes. And if your cup isn't full, then that's going to show. And people you're not going to be able to give what you would like to give. And so that you're right. There's a dichotomy that needs to be balanced there. I mean, there's definitely an extreme. You can give all of yourself, but you also you have to give to yourself. And if you don't do a little bit of both, then you're going to veer off in one direction or the other. And neither of those directions are good. Not really.
And just real quick on that point, because people think like it's going to take all this time and effort to pour into you. Honestly, guys, like that's why I wrote this book, the Fit for Life Performance Planner. It's like it should take about 4 hours of your week to be able to pour into yourself and be the most effective, optimal, physical and mental clarity version of yourself. So it really doesn't take that much time either.
Right. Yep. No, I love your point of view. Yeah, you and I we need to stay in contact because we're going to get along just fine. So I love this question too. Jack said, how important is consistency compared to motivation? I'm ready, but you go first.
Okay. Yeah. So motivation, man, it's a funny word, honestly, at this point to me, because motivation it's an emotion, right? It is 100% going to come and go. You cannot rely on motivation. Like you could be excited and as pumped up as all get out. It's like my assistant coach says this all the time. You drop a dumbbell on your foot, you're not very motivated anymore. Right. So it's, again, going back to showing up when you don't feel like it. And that is literally a muscle that you can build. Right. So it's like when you're able to stay disciplined and ingrain habits and just make it a part of your lifestyle and do the things necessary consistently and just make those automatic habits, that's the goal. And then you don't have to rely on motivation, because motivation is 100% fleeting and it's going to come and go.
Yeah. So I agree. Consistency is that discipline factor. I'm going to go back to my military service.
Yeah.
How I said that I got out and I was like, I'm not getting up early in the morning. I'm not doing any of that crap. But guess what? That getting up early every day, it gives you the ability to tackle that important physical health thing that you need to tackle every day. Because guess what? If you don't, then the rest of the day is going to hijack your ability to work out. And that from 9 o'clock on or 8 o'clock on or whatever it is, what time that you start your day, unless you work overnight, just it doesn't work out. So discipline, you're right. Doing the things that need to be done, not the things that you want to do, but the things that you need to do. And that's the only way you build consistency. So Jack, the question that you asked is good, but it's not complete. You have to have the discipline to build the consistency. Motivation is your why. Why do you want to get fit? Because I feel like crap. Well, if you remember why you want to get fit every day, some days you're going to wake up in the morning and it's going to be really, really hard. You're not going to want to do a doggone thing. But at the end of the day, if you remember what it was like to get up and have a hard time moving across the room because everything was stiff and you had all kinds of extra weight on you, maybe you'll remember why it's important to do it. And that's where motivation is good, but you tend to forget that. So just go into, I don't know, robot mode or something and just do the things that you have to do. Build your negotiables and non-negotiables and stick to it and do it, whether it's with working out or it doesn't matter what it is. That's how you build consistency, doing the things that you feel like are most important.
Yeah. And I would challenge everyone to just change the word motivation in their vocabulary to purpose and meaning, right? Like you mentioned the why behind it. And, one thing that helped me in that time when I did kind of lose my passion for all this was just making the focus less on me and putting the focus on the people that I am serving. Right. And like my purpose is like, I want to lead by example for all of these people that are striving to be the best version of themselves. Right. So if I push myself like that inspires them. Right. So that's my purpose, my meaning, but come up with your own. And it's like, that should be, more of what motivation is, purpose and meaning. And that's even more powerful than just, because motivation is just kind of an emotion. It comes and goes. It's like we watch a TikTok and it inspires us a little bit, but then 30 minutes later, we're not feeling it as much. Right. Yep. And I wanted to go back to what you said too, JJ, on like waking up early and doing the things like helped your day, because people always think like motivation comes and then we take action, but it's actually the action that precedes motivation. It's like doing things and stacking wins and building momentum. That's actually a much more powerful way to stay motivated than just waiting to feel motivated and then taking the actions.
Yeah.
So I think it's a common misconception people have.
Well, and actually this goes back to Roy's question. What's the biggest mistake people make when they're trying to become better leaders?
Yeah.
Well, if you want to show up, you got to not just know the way, but you got to show the way. And I like how you said that you have to be the example, because that's what leadership is all about. So that's kind of what we're talking about here. And doing those things that have to be done, whether you want to do it or not, is going to be leading from the front a lot more than you think.
Yep. Yeah. I want to, before we move on to maybe a different question,
Sure.
With the motivation thing is, this is a James Clear quote, so this isn't me, but we don't rise to our goals, right? We fall to our systems, right? So that's the way to stay consistent, is having the right systems in place. And you mentioned non-negotiables, right? Or like kind of having a floor. It's like if you've got systems and you've got some non-negotiables in place and just things that you're able to do automatically on a consistent basis, like that's what gets you where you want to go. And that's what makes it, super disciplined and consistent with your routine.
I like that. We said in the military, you got to train as you fight. So if you train the way that you want your outcome to look like, when it comes time to execute and you're on autopilot, you're going to do the things that you've been training with.
Yeah. We don't rise to the occasion. We fall to our preparation.
Yep.
Right. So I love that.
Yeah, this is awesome, man. What a great conversation. So, please tell us a little bit more about your book. We're over 30 minutes now. So I want to make sure that we do a plug for your book. Make sure we tell people how to get a hold of you and all that stuff. So go ahead and please do the plug on your business so that we can get you out there.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I wasn't sure how long this conversation was. I feel like I'm fired up now. I could run through a wall.
Me too. I have another one in 30 minutes.
There you go. But yeah, so I appreciate it. Yeah, my book, The Fit for Life Performance Planner, just launched about a month ago. I call it my baby because it took me about 9 months to put all this together, but it's the accumulation of 11 plus years of fitness coaching in a 16-week system for busy leaders who want results that last. And there's also a journaling aspect to the book. So it really guides you through the 16-week journey. It's also equipped with a strength program, a recipe book. So everything is in there to give you the tools to really take control of your fitness journey here. And it can be found on Amazon. So just search the number 4 Life Performance Planner on Amazon. And my name, Kade Jungkurth. And I would say that the best places to find me, I'm going to post this video on YouTube after this. So you can just search my name, Kade Jungkurth, on YouTube. And then I put my Instagram handle here at Kade Jungkurth. And then I'm on LinkedIn with my name as well. So,
okay. Well, thank you so much, Kade, for coming on here and talking about what you're passionate about and just, giving people in my audience an opportunity to meet you. Hopefully, it doesn't stop here. Please reach out to Kade. I think he's a good guy. He's not just a great person to talk to on a podcast. He's also a great person to visit with just one-on-one. So please make sure you reach out to him. I think he's a great guest. Do you have any closing comments before I give my final ones and end the show?
I just want to challenge everyone to start with their purpose and their meaning, really marinate on that. And use that rather than motivation. And then again, what's the next best action to start building that momentum, and take action before you're motivated and build that momentum. And if you want to reach out to me to get some more structure, reach out to me on Instagram, just message me Transform, but pick up the book. It's a good start. And I just genuinely appreciate this conversation. It was a lot of fun. So hope everyone enjoyed it, and I appreciate you, JJ. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And again, everybody, goals are important. There are frameworks out there. There's the SMART framework. There's this Fit for Life framework. What all the things that are out there available to you. If you have a goal, don't give up on it. there are ways to accomplish everything, but you got to be intentional about it. Thank you all for tuning in. I mean, we had 200 people show up today, and it's just a blessing for that to happen. But if you want to know about these things and you want to be a part of these conversations, do not forget to subscribe. You'll get a notification that tells you to show up, and it'll also tell you when I'm on, so that you can just click the button and pop right on in. But don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and after it's over, because it's going to disappear as soon as the live stream is over with, all these comments. Leave a comment below if you want us to follow up with you. If you want to reach out to Kade, I can connect you with him. You just got to tell me who you are and how to get a hold of you, and we'll make that happen. Thank you, everybody, as always. And Kade, thank you. Stick around for a second. I have a couple things I want to say, and everybody else, have a good day.
God bless. Thank you.